The birthday candles flicker softly in the dim light of the restaurant, their glow dancing across the untouched glass of Cabernet before me. I glance at my phone for the 11th time in half an hour. Still no messages. My fingernail taps against the screen, matching the dull ache forming in my chest. Should we wait a little longer for your guests, Miss Lewis? I look up to see the waiter standing near my table, sympathy faintly visible in the lines around his eyes. His gaze drifts over the 4 empty chairs and the small cake resting on the white tablecloth. Just another 15 minutes. Please. I manage a smile that feels stiff. It's the 3rd time I've asked for more time, and we both know what that means. I smooth down the front of my emerald silk blouse, the one I bought last week just for tonight. The fabric feels cool and delicate beneath my fingertips. Behind the waiter, laughter hums through the air. Glasses clink, silverware meets porcelain, and a cork pops somewhere nearby. The sound of celebration fills the room, while I sit alone in my quiet corner. 2 weeks ago, I booked this table at Ellison's, Denver's newest and trendiest restaurant. I'd just secured $1.2 million in angel investment for Verdant Alchemy Co., my natural skincare startup. After 3 years of 18-hour workdays and a second mortgage on my condo, someone finally believed in my vision. I wanted to celebrate, with my family. Family dinner at Ellison's for my birthday and some big news, I'd texted in our group chat. Thursday at 7, I'll make reservations for 5. 3 days passed without a reply. I followed up. Just confirming dinner this Thursday at Ellison's. Let me know if you can make it. Another 2 days. Still silence. Finally, I sent a 3rd message. Table reserved for 7 p.m. Hope to see everyone there. Nothing. Not from Mom, Dad, or Theodore. My throat tightens as I take a sip of water, ice clinking against my teeth. I shouldn't be surprised. It's always been like this. When I was 16 and Theodore was 14, Dad took him fishing in Montana for 2 weeks. When I asked why I wasn't invited, Dad patted my head and said, "He's a boy. He needs investment. You just need stability." That stability somehow turned into co-signing Theodore's $18,000 motorcycle loan when I was 22, barely out of college and still paying student loans. 6 months later, when he stopped making payments, I covered them to protect my credit. Dad thanked me with a distracted nod while helping Theodore install custom pipes on the bike. I take another sip, forcing down the sting in my throat. My family has always been there, but never in ways that truly mattered. Never in ways that made me feel seen. Excuse me. I look up to see a man standing beside my table, tall, with salt and pepper hair and kind eyes behind tortoiseshell glasses. His charcoal suit fits perfectly across his broad shoulders. "I don't mean to intrude," he says, his voice calm and warm, "but I couldn't help noticing. It might be your birthday?" He gestures toward the small cake with its unlit candles. My hand tightens around my wine glass. "It is. Then may I wish you a happy birthday?" I should politely decline. Instead, I hear myself say, "Thank you." He hesitates. "Would you mind if I joined you for a bit? Just until your other guests arrive." Something about his expression, genuine kindness without pity, makes me nod. "I'm Farah." "Alexander," he replies, settling into the chair across from me and placing a leather portfolio on the table. "I'm a writer, mostly on resilience." He smiles, faint lines appearing near his eyes. "Though I suspect you already know something about that." "Oh? What makes you say that?" "The way you carry yourself," he says. "Like someone who knows disappointment but hasn't let it break her." A quiet laugh escapes me. "Are you always this observant with strangers?" "Occupational hazard," he replies, motioning for the waiter who steps forward with a lighter. "May I?" Alexander asks. When I nod, the waiter lights the candles. Their glow reflects in his glasses. "So," he says gently, "what brings you here tonight, all dressed up and waiting so patiently?" I pause, then decide the truth is easier than pretending. "I just secured a major investment for my company," I say. "Thought my family might want to celebrate." He nods slowly, understanding flickering in his expression. "And they're running late?" "They're not coming." The words leave my mouth tasting bitter, like coffee gone cold. They didn't even reply to my messages. Then they're missing something remarkable. Alexander leans forward, resting his arms on the table. "Tell me about this company that attracted such an impressive investment." For a moment, I think about steering the conversation elsewhere. Then something inside me changes. Why not enjoy this birthday even without my family? Why not share my success with someone who genuinely seems interested? Verdant Alchemy, I say, feeling a real smile form. It's a natural skincare brand using ingredients sourced from sustainable farms. I pull out my phone and show him our polished website, highlighting our best-selling facial serum. We're expanding production with the new funding. Remarkable, Alexander says, studying the screen. When his eyes meet mine again, his admiration feels like sunlight after a long stretch of rain. Someone should be celebrating your brilliance tonight, he adds. His words unlock something inside me. As I blow out the candles, my wish changes. Not for my family's approval, but for the courage to stop waiting for it. I'm done seeking their approval, I whisper. More to myself than to him. The hardest lesson, Alexander says quietly, is realizing that some people can't give what they never learned to have. The waiter returns with plates for the cake. As I cut into it, I start telling Alexander about Theodore's motorcycle, about decades spent showing up for a family that rarely did the same, about building my business while my parents supported my brother's endless failed ventures. The strange thing is, I admit, I still love them, despite everything. Love and boundaries aren't opposites, Alexander replies. In truth, the healthiest love depends on them. As we share cake under the warm restaurant lights, I realize that a stranger's kindness has made this birthday more meaningful than any family gathering ever could. For the first time in years, I feel genuinely seen, and somehow, that's enough. Morning light spills across my balcony, turning my coffee cup's rim gold as I breathe in the crisp mountain air. The distant flatirons carve sharp silhouettes against a clear blue sky. 3 years have passed since that birthday when Alexander came into my life. And quiet perseverance has brought me abundance. My phone chimes, a new notification. Another share of yesterday's interview, where I spoke about Verdant Alchemy's growth from my kitchen counter to a $35 million valuation. The views have passed 500,000. I sip my coffee, savoring the Colombian blend Alexander introduced me to last winter. The new face of natural beauty, one comment reads. If only they knew how unnatural family could be. Another buzz, a call. The name on the screen makes my stomach tighten. Mom, we've barely talked in 3 years, aside from short holiday messages and the occasional awkward coffee. I think about ignoring it, but swipe to answer instead. Farah, honey. Her voice drips with the same sugary tone I haven't heard since graduation. Did you see my messages? No, Theodore's getting married. Can you believe it? Our boy, finally settling down with Jessica. We'd love your help with the wedding. I grip the phone tighter. That's wonderful news. When's the wedding? June. Listen, sweetheart, your father and I have been talking. We think this is the perfect time for a Lewis family collaboration. Collaboration? The word hangs between us, fragile as glass. Yes, your brand with our family name. Lewis Beauty? Doesn't it sound perfect? We've always been your biggest supporters. The lie cuts deeper than if she'd slapped me. I glance at the Forbes magazine on my coffee table featuring my company's profile. I'll need to think about that, I say, my professional tone settling over me like armor. Of course, honey. Call me this afternoon? After we hang up, another message pings. Theodore. Hey, sis. Big news about the wedding. Also, my racing team needs a primary sponsor, only $300,000 for the season. Great exposure for Verdant. Let me know. I set my phone face down. The view from my penthouse suddenly feels less peaceful and more like isolation. Later that morning, I sit in my office, scrolling through a dusty folder of old family photos on my laptop. Theodore at his high school graduation, our parents glowing beside his first race car. Then my college graduation, just me, in cap and gown, alone. They'd skipped it for Theodore's regional race that same weekend. My phone buzzes with a voice message from Alexander. Saw your interview. Brilliant as always. Remember, you became who you are despite them, not because of them. Dinner tonight? I open a new spreadsheet and title it Family Financial History. Line by line, I record every loan, gift, and favor I've given. Theodore's motorcycle. 6 months of his rent after he dropped out of community college. Dad's fishing boat repairs when Theodore crashed it on a weekend trip. By the end, the total reads nearly $47,000, a quiet record of my support. This isn't revenge, I murmur to the empty room. It's clarity. A knock at the door. My CFO, Martin, steps in with quarterly reports. Everything all right? he asks, catching my expression. Family issues, I say. If my parents or brother reach out about sponsorships or investments, direct them to me personally. He nods. Legally, you're not required to mix family with the company. I know, I reply, offering a faint smile as he leaves. Moments later, a text flashes across my screen. Rachel, my oldest friend, just saw Theodore's Facebook post about sponsors. Let me guess, he's coming to you again? They never showed up for you. Why fund them now? I can't help but smile. Rachel always gets straight to the point. That afternoon, a courier delivers a handwritten note from Alexander. Inside, a quote, "Boundaries aren't walls. They're the structure of healthy relationships." By evening, I draft an email that feels professional but final. I attach the spreadsheet listing every dollar of support. If we're to collaborate, I write, "Let's begin at zero with transparency." My finger hovers over send. Am I being too cold? Then I remember my 29th birthday, the empty restaurant, unanswered calls, untouched cake. I press send. Minutes later, my mother's reply arrives, sharp and predictable. How dare you speak to us like that? After everything we've done? You should be grateful. I take a deep breath and begin typing. I was grateful. In silence, in money, in tears. Now, I'm grateful to myself for finally stopping. When Alexander arrives for dinner, he finds me on the balcony watching the stars rise over the city. He doesn't ask. He just stands beside me, calm, steady. They want to use me, I say quietly. Not celebrate me. And what do you want? He asks, his voice soft. I turn toward him, feeling grounded for the first time in years. To stop mistaking obligation for love. He smiles, taking my hand. Then that's exactly what you'll do. As we step inside, my phone lights up again. More messages from my family. For the first time in my life, I choose not to respond. A week later, my receptionist's voice crackles through the office intercom, cutting into my quarterly projections meeting. Miss Lewis, your mother and brother are here. They say it's urgent. Across the conference table, my marketing director raises an eyebrow. The 5 other executives pause mid-note, pens hovering over their portfolios. Tell them I'm in a meeting, I reply, forcing a polite, professional smile. I'll be out shortly. The intercom buzzes again. They insist on waiting. They brought cake. A familiar tightness forms at the base of my neck. My family never showed up during the 3 years I spent working 16-hour days in a small rented office. But now that Verdon Alchemy takes up an entire floor downtown, with our name on the building, they suddenly have urgent business with me. 10-minute break? Everyone, I announce evenly, setting down my presentation pointer. Greg, have the distribution figures ready when we continue. In the reception area, Mother holds a bakery box with both hands like a peace offering. Her hair is freshly colored, the same deep auburn she's worn since her 40s. And her cream blazer likely costs more than what I once paid for rent. Theodore stands beside her, hands buried in the pockets of designer jeans, an intentionally relaxed look that still screams expensive. Surprise! Mother trills, lifting the box slightly. We thought we'd stop by to celebrate your Forbes feature. No hard feelings about the missed calls lately. The receptionist glances over with open curiosity, and 2 packaging designers peer from the break room. How thoughtful, I reply calmly, aware of every watching eye. Let's talk in the conference room. Mother's gaze sweeps the workspace, taking in the exposed brick walls, Edison bulbs, and minimalist desks where my team designs the products that earned us a place in luxury stores nationwide. Theodore lingers by a display case showcasing our best-selling serum. You must be raking it in from these little bottles, he says, tapping the glass. My marketing director steps out of her office, coffee in hand. Jessica! Theodore greets her with the same easy charm that carried him through college. You look amazing. Still managing my sister's ads? Jessica's professional smile doesn't falter. Director of Brand Strategy now. Nice to see you again, Theodore. I guide them into a smaller conference room, away from curious onlookers. As we enter, Mother runs her finger along the walnut table. 16,000 for this piece, I'd bet, she murmurs, just loud enough to hear. When the door closes behind us, I face them squarely. This is my office, not a family gathering spot. Why are you really here? Mother sets the cake on the table, her expression softening. Can't we visit our successful daughter without a hidden motive? Theodore leans back casually in one of the leather chairs. Come on, sis. Don't be so suspicious, Theodore says. The last time we talked, I remind him, you asked for $300,000 for your racing team. Before that, Mom mentioned help with your wedding expenses. Forgive me, I continue, for thinking this visit might not be just social. Mother's face tightens. You've changed, she says. Success has made you cold. I haven't changed, I reply, staying on my feet while they sit. I've just stopped pretending. Theodore leans forward. We're family. That should mean something. The word family lingers in the air, heavy with years of expectation, old debts, and unspoken resentment, the motorcycle loan I paid off working 3 jobs, the birthdays I spent alone while they cheered for him at races. Yes, it does mean something, I say evenly. Family should mean love without conditions, support without strings, and joy without calculation. Mother narrows her eyes. After all, we've sacrificed for you. What exactly did you sacrifice? I ask before I can stop myself. When I needed co-signers for my first business loan, you called it too risky. When I worked 18-hour days to build this company, you never once showed up. And when I celebrated that milestone on my birthday, all your phones somehow stopped working. Theodore shifts, uncomfortable. That's not fair. What's not fair, I say firmly, is treating family like a transaction. I don't need support only when I'm successful, or affection only when there's something to gain. We've always been proud of you, Mother insists, though her eyes flick toward the door. I believe that, I answer, softening slightly. But I've learned to live honestly. I'll always care for you both, but this company isn't a family bank. My success doesn't create a debt. Mother stands, lifting her designer handbag. We must have come at a bad time. Any time you come with expectations instead of genuine care will be a bad time, I reply. They leave with stiff goodbyes. Through the glass, I watch them cross the reception area, Mother's posture rigid, Theodore's steps tight with irritation. When the elevator doors close, I finally exhale for what feels like the first time in an hour. My phone buzzes. A text from Alexander reads, "Coffee after that ambush? Proud of you for standing firm." Word spreads quickly. Rachel must have heard from Jessica. Another message arrives from my business partner. I'll handle the afternoon meetings. Take a break if you need it. 10 minutes later, my mentor calls. How are you holding up? She asks, her voice calm and knowing. Better than I thought, I admit. That evening, I draft an email declining Theodore's wedding invitation, attaching a thoughtful but appropriate gift card. I also set boundaries for future communication with my parents. With my financial advisor's help, I establish a small trust for real family emergencies, not personal demands. Later, I pour a glass of Cabernet and stand by the window, looking over Boulder's lights. For the first time, I understand that boundaries aren't walls built from anger. They're fences built from self-respect. Then my phone pings again. Theodore's Facebook post glows on the screen. Some people care more about money than family. Mutual friends start tagging me. Gossip spreads fast. My hand hovers over the keyboard, ready to respond. But before I put the phone down, Alexander texts again. Dignity wins over argument. Your truth doesn't need defending. The chapter of apologizing for my boundaries is over. The story of living with integrity has just begun. 2 days after the argument, the cursor blinks on my screen, taunting me. I've written and erased the same reply 14 times. Theodore's Facebook post stares back from my laptop. Some people only care about money, not family. Blood used to mean something. I take a deep breath, fingers hovering above the keyboard as my stomach tightens. Friends have started tagging me in the comments, wondering if there's family drama going on. 3 old college acquaintances have already messaged to ask if I'm all right. Through the living room window, Boulder's mountains glow softly in the early morning light. I've been here since 5, sipping coffee that's long gone cold, thinking about truth, loyalty, and what family is supposed to mean. I start typing slowly, reading each sentence twice before moving on. Family isn't a debt. It's where love should never have conditions. I hope everyone finds that kind of peace, me included. My thumb hovers over post for a few seconds before pressing down. Done. No long explanations, no blame. Just honesty. Within minutes, my phone fills with notifications. Friends from business school, former coworkers, even my 3rd grade teacher who somehow still follows me online. Stay strong, Farah. Been there. You're handling this with grace. This really hits home. Thank you for being real. I turn my phone face down on the coffee table and breathe into the quiet of my apartment. It's strange how 15 words can feel like setting down a weight I've carried for years. The landline rings, the one I reserve for close friends and work. Rachel's voice greets me, warm and calm. I saw your post. You doing okay? Better than I expected, I admit, curling deeper into the armchair as a hummingbird flits around my balcony feeder. It feels clean, and clean is good. Rachel hesitates before speaking again. Theodore's lost it in the family group chat. Your mom called me this morning, hoping I'd talk some sense into you. My laugh comes out sharper than I mean. And what did you say? That you already made perfect sense. Her tone softens. Listen, they're making calls. Your dad reached out to James from the Chamber of Commerce breakfast group. The hummingbird freezes midair, then darts away as a shadow crosses the balcony. Trying to rewrite history? I ask. Exactly. He's claiming they supported your business from the start, but that you've drifted away since you became successful. I press my fingers to my eyelids until sparks flash behind them. 22 investors believed in my vision before my parents even asked what Verdant Alchemy did. They didn't care until Forbes mentioned it. I know, honey. Just wanted to warn you. Oh, and apparently your mom's church group heard about her wayward daughter who's lost her values. The familiar tension settles between my shoulders again, right on schedule. After Rachel's call, I shower and get dressed carefully. Forest green silk blouse, tailored black pants, simple gold earrings, armor for the day ahead. At the office, my assistant Emma meets me at the door, holding out a coffee like a shield. 3 calls from someone named Theodore. Should I keep blocking? Yes, please, I say, accepting the cup with a grateful nod. Any messages from investors? Her expression tightens. Mr. Harrington from Keystone Capital called. He said your brother reached out with concerns about your company's stability. He looks puzzled. Heat rushes to my face as I grip the cup tighter. Theodore actually reached out to my investors? That level of interference stuns me. Call Mr. Harrington back right away. Set up a lunch if he's available. 2 hours later, I'm seated across from James Harrington at Ellison's, the same restaurant where this all began 3 years ago. The irony isn't lost on me. I appreciate your time, I start, meeting his eyes. I understand my brother contacted you. James nods, leaning back in his chair, his gray brows furrowing. He mentioned some family issues possibly influencing your business decisions. Wanted to give me a heads up. He studies me over his reading glasses. Not exactly professional. No, I agree evenly. In my world, family and business don't mix. They never have. Good, he replies, unfolding his napkin with care. The quarterly reports speak clearly. 28% growth doesn't lie. The tension in my stomach begins to ease. Thank you for your continued trust, I say. Your brother seemed to believe he was owed part of your success, James adds carefully. Said something about family collaboration. I stay composed. There won't be any collaboration. Wise decision, he nods. Now shall we order? I've heard the salmon is excellent. Back at my office, I open the application form for the Verdant Foundation, my newest venture supporting young women, entrepreneurs. The blinking cursor feels steady now instead of taunting. I complete the final. Details and click launch. Later that night, I get confirmation that my $20,000 donation to the Colorado Motorcycle Safety Initiative has been processed. Anonymous. No press, no announcements, just quiet action. My phone vibrates with a message from my father. Your mother is devastated. This public embarrassment is beneath you. Farah. I set the phone aside and pour a glass of wine. The Verdant Foundation website already shows 12 new applications. My inbox holds 3 interview requests from business. Publications, no mention of family disputes. Only interest in company growth and environmental work. When the doorbell rings at 7, Alexander stands there with takeout bags. His eyes crease with a small smile. Thought you might prefer staying in tonight. You thought right. I step aside to let him in. Theodore reached out to my investors, I tell him as he sets the food down, his face darkening. That crosses every line, he says. They didn't believe him, I reply, pulling out plates. Turns out steady professionalism outweighs desperate claims. Of course, he says, unpacking Thai food. Your restraint is admirable, Farah. Most people would have reacted harshly. I shrug, though his words warm me. Anger only adds smoke. I prefer clarity. We eat on the balcony. watching the sunset turn the Boulder Mountains gold and amber. My phone keeps buzzing, Theodore's fiancé this time, saying they need to clear the air before the wedding. Did you see the comment from Sandra Werner? Alexander asks, refilling my glass. Theodore's racing sponsor? I ask. No, what did she say? She's reconsidering their partnership after hearing recent stories about character, he says, raising an eyebrow. Seems your mother's version of events reached her, but backfired. I take a slow sip of wine. I never wanted that. You didn't need to, he replies. Truth tends to surface on its own. As night settles over Boulder, my email pings, a message from my mentor, Diane. Proud of you. Hosting a webinar next month on ethical business practices. Keynote spot has your name on it if you want it, Alexander says. Later, as he prepares to leave, he pauses by the door. You know they're only pushing harder because they're losing control, right? I nod. I know. I can sense the cracks forming. Your mother called Rachel again, he continues, sounded less confident this time. Used the same phrase, might have gone too far. Something stirs inside me. Not satisfaction exactly, but a quiet sense of vindication. She did, huh? I also ran into your father at the coffee shop this morning, Alexander adds. He looked thoughtful. Said he wished they'd invested in your company from the start. I lean against the door frame, suddenly weary. 3 years too late for that realization. Alexander places a hand on my shoulder. But not too late for you to live your truth. After he leaves, I sit on the balcony, the night air cool around me. My laptop glows with Theodore's latest group chat message. She's ruined this family with her selfishness. Beneath it, a surprising reply from his fiancée, Melissa. Maybe we should all take a step back and think about what we're asking from her. I close the laptop without replying. Tomorrow will bring more blame, more attempts to rewrite history. But tonight, I've learned that silence can also hold power. Sometimes the strongest response is to keep building while others try to tear you down. The voicemail from my mother plays again. Her tone soft, rehearsed. Farrah, sweetheart, I know things have been difficult, but we're still your parents no matter what. Some ties don't break even when they stretch. I hit delete and set the phone on the counter. Sunlight spills through the condo windows, casting warm patterns on the hardwood floor. Against my better judgment, I pick up the envelope that arrived yesterday, ivory cardstock with gold foil edges. It's Theodore's wedding invitation. A handwritten note reads, "Time for family healing. We miss you. Mom and Dad," my stomach tightens. 3 weeks of this now, the carefully timed calls, the texts full of apologies that avoid admitting any real fault. Just yesterday, Theodore's fiancée Jessica left a voicemail about building bridges before the big day. Is this seat taken? I look up to see Alexander in the doorway, coat draped over his arm, holding a paper bag from Spruce Bakery. My shoulders drop in relief. Only by ghosts and guilt trips, I reply, sliding the invitation across the counter. Latest tactic in the reconciliation campaign. Alexander sets down 2 coffees, examining the invitation. Quite the event. The Brown Palace, huh? Someone's parents are being generous. Or expecting me to be, I answer, taking a sip of my coffee. Dark roast with almond milk, exactly right. And these? Alexander nods toward the stack of photo albums on the coffee table. Recent delivery? FedExed yesterday, I say. Family albums from my childhood, complete with sticky notes marking memories. I open one to a tagged page. This one says, "Remember Christmas 1998? You were so happy about the family tradition." Subtle, Alexander remarks with a small smile. My phone buzzes again. Another text from Theodore. "Dad says his blood pressure's been high lately. I really hope you'll reconsider coming to the wedding. It would mean a lot to everyone," the message reads. Alexander notices my expression. "More health issues?" he asks. "Dad's blood pressure again?" I put my phone down. "Last week it was Mom's migraines," I reply. "They're getting creative," Alexander remarks, taking a seat on one of my kitchen stools. "How are you holding up?" he asks. I trace the edge of my coffee cup. I keep thinking I should feel worse about all this. Shouldn't I be a mess? Crying over old photos at midnight? "And you're not?" he asks. I feel tired, I admit. Like I'm watching a movie I've already seen too many times. I meet his eyes. "Does that make me cold?" Alexander pauses, the morning light catching the silver in his hair. "I don't think it's cold," he says. "It's clarity." After years of the same cycle, you've stopped confusing familiarity with obligation. I don't want to hate them, I say softly. Setting boundaries isn't about hate, Alexander replies gently. It's about health. You can forgive people without returning to the same dynamic. Something eases in me at his words. A small release I hadn't noticed I needed. Forgiveness without restoration. I repeat. Exactly, he nods. You can still acknowledge love while understanding its limits. He takes a sip of coffee. What would a healthy relationship with your family even look like? He asks. I realize I've never thought about it clearly. My choices always seemed extreme. Either give them everything or cut them off completely. Maybe there's a middle ground, I say slowly. Limited contact. Planned meetings in neutral places. No financial involvement. And clear expectations of mutual respect. Alexander nods approvingly. That sounds fair. But do you think they'll accept it? Theodore's wedding is coming up soon. The question isn't whether they'll accept it, Alexander says. It's whether you'll hold your ground regardless. I sit a little straighter. I can. That evening, still thinking about our talk, I draft an email to my family. No accusations, no list of past issues, just calm, clear boundaries. I outline the terms under which I'm willing to attend Theodore's wedding and maintain contact going forward. When I finally press send, something changes within me, not relief, but the firm assurance that I've made my own choice. On the wedding day, I stand in the grand ballroom of the Brown Palace Hotel, a glass of champagne cooling in my hand. The ceremony ended about half an hour ago, and now the reception hums with movement, distant relatives mingling, family friends watching me with quiet curiosity. Alexander stands beside me in a charcoal suit, calm and composed, his presence grounding me. Theodore walks over, champagne in hand, with his new wife Jessica at his side. You made it, he says. Surprise flickering across his face despite our previous emails confirming I'd come. And you brought a date. Alexander, I introduce simply. Congratulations to both of you. Jessica smiles warmly. Thank you for coming, Farah. Your gift was so thoughtful. On the gift table, the leather-bound financial planning book and modest check I gave sit neatly among crystal vases and silver trays. The card reads, wishing you a partnership built on mutual support and respect. Love, Farah. Theodore shifts slightly. Listen, Farah, about the racing team. Alexander's hand rests lightly on my waist, reminding me of our agreement. 3 hours only. No business talk. Today's about your marriage, Theo, I say softly, cutting him off. Let's keep it that way. He hesitates, then nods. Right, of course. His eyes move toward Alexander. So how did you two meet? Over birthday candles, Alexander replies smoothly, sparing me the explanation of that evening 3 years ago. We share polite conversation for a few more moments before they drift away to greet other guests. I release a slow breath. Holding up? Alexander murmurs. Better than expected, I admit, scanning the room. I've noticed Mother circling for the past 20 minutes. Right on cue, she appears at my side, graceful in pale blue chiffon, her perfume a soft cloud of gardenias and unspoken judgment. Darling, could I borrow you for a moment? Her smile includes Alexander, but subtly excludes him. Family matters, I glance at Alexander. I'll be right back. Mother leads me toward a quiet alcove near the dessert table, her touch gentle yet insistent. Once we're alone, her expression softens slightly. You look lovely, Farah, she begins. But I must say, your father and I were hurt by that email. Setting terms for attending your brother's wedding, it seemed distant. I take a careful breath. I just wanted clarity about expectations. We're family, she says firmly, as if that word alone should dissolve every boundary. Family supports one another without conditions. That support should go both ways, Mom, I reply evenly. I love you, but I've learned to love myself. Too. Something flickers in her eyes. Maybe frustration? Or the faint realization that her old approach no longer works on me. Your father and I won't be around forever. You know. I know, I answer quietly. When you truly need me, I'll be there, I tell her. But what you're asking for isn't need, it's entitlement. She looks at me, this daughter who no longer bends beneath guilt. You've changed, Farah. I have, I admit, but I still love you. I glance at my watch. We've been at the reception for nearly 3 hours. Alexander and I should leave soon. There's an early meeting tomorrow. Mother parts her lips to argue, then thinks better of it. For the first time, she accepts a boundary I've set, without resistance. Will you call next week? She asks quietly, her tone gentler than usual. Sunday afternoon, I reply. 30 minutes, as we agreed in the email. As we rejoin the celebration, I notice Theodore watching from across the room. Our eyes meet. Something unspoken passes between us, not warmth exactly, but perhaps respect. He raises his glass slightly, a gesture that feels both like acknowledgement and peace. Alexander takes my hand as we walk toward the exit. Ready? He asks. I turn for one last look. Mother back at father's side, Theodore dancing with his bride, our family and friends orbiting each other in their usual rhythm. They'll continue without me tonight. I'll return, on my own terms, another day. Yes, I say, squeezing his hand. I'm ready. A year later, birthday candles flicker in my kitchen, casting a soft glow on the faces gathered around the marble island. Alexander stands beside me, shoulder brushing mine, smiling as he adjusts his glasses. Rachel lifts her wine glass. The ruby light catches the flame. To choosing your family and your future, she says, her voice calm and sure. The small circle of 5 people, those who truly want to be here, cheers. My heart swells as I look around my home, filled with warmth and easy laughter. No empty chairs. No constant glancing at my phone. No forced smiles. Make a wish, Alexander whispers. His breath warms my ear. I close my eyes, but for once, I can't think of a single thing to wish for. My business reached a $45 million valuation last quarter. The entrepreneurship book Alexander and I co-wrote rests proudly on the coffee table, its title embossed in gold. Most importantly, that old ache of family disappointment has faded into a quiet memory. I blow out the candles in one confident breath. Same restaurant as 4 years ago, Rachel says as she cuts the cake, but completely different vibe. Good company changes everything, I reply, accepting a slice from her. Later, as laughter fills the living room, I step into my study. My leather-bound journal lies in the drawer where I left it this morning. I trace a line over today's entry. Love doesn't require losing yourself. Therapy taught me that boundaries aren't walls. They're healthy fences with gates I control. My relationship with my family is cordial now. I join holiday dinners when it feels right. Theodore comes with his wife. My parents ask about my business without offering advice. We've found balance. I can care for them without giving up my peace. The doorbell rings. A young woman, Jessica, stands outside clutching a notebook. She's one of the 5 entrepreneurs I mentor through my foundation. Sorry to interrupt, she says nervously. I got an offer to join my father's business, but I want to start my own. I don't know how to tell him. Family business pressure? I ask, inviting her inside. She nods. He's invested so much. I feel guilty. Obligation and love aren't the same, I tell her, handing her a cup of coffee. One drains you, the other restores you. As I help Jessica separate her father's dreams from her own, I realize how far I've come. The woman who once paid off her brother's motorcycle loan without question now teaches others to value their worth. Last month, on my talk show appearance, I said, "Forgiving someone doesn't mean letting them hurt you again." The audience nodded. Those words became a lifeline for people trying to break free from toxic cycles. In the kitchen, Alexander lights a single candle on the last piece of cake. We blow it out together, our fingers intertwined. Our book, dedicated to dreamers who find strength in solitude, has helped countless people recognize their value. Do you ever wish they'd come that night years ago? Alexander asks, recalling my lonely birthday when we met. I shake my head, smiling softly. No. If they had, I might never have met the man who taught me that kindness can come from anyone, even a stranger. Later, we stand on the balcony, watching the sunset paint the skyline in amber and gold. City lights shimmer to life. Stars in an urban sky. Alexander hands me a glass of Cabernet, the same wine I ordered that first night. Any regrets about your journey? He asks. I take a slow sip, savoring its depth. Sometimes, I say, the loneliest birthday becomes the first gift of freedom, and the start of something beautiful. The wine tastes of celebration now, not solitude. As night settles over the city, I realize those candles that once burned alone now light the path forward, surrounded by people who choose to be here not out of duty, but love.